And now,
it's 10 a.m.
Let's just get down to it.
And it's time for your sports fix.
Strap yourselves in, folks.
From two guys who have covered the teams you're passionate about for years.
We are professionals.
This is Jake Scott and Ben Anderson on 97.5 The KSL Sports Zone.
Jake and Ben, 97.5 The KSL Sports Zone. Jake Scott, Ben Anderson. Happy trade deadline day to all those who celebrate.
It's like Hanukkah here. They've been celebrating for a week. 8 days of trade deadline if you're a Utah Jazz fan.
Kind of feels like it.
Yeah, it's been a long time. Feels like the fireworks are behind you. Now you're just kind of enjoying the rest of the process.
Have the Jazz released or cut Lonzo Ball yet officially?
I don't think so.
Well, today might be the last day we could possibly get LeVar on the air.
This is right.
So I think, Christian, we've got an assignment for you today. You've got to the end of the show. We want LeVar Ball on the horn.
Yeah.
He's currently a Jazz man.
I want to be Big Baller Ben before the end of the day.
And I want to interview LeVar Ball.
Well, you're going to be on the Big Baller unemployment line.
Who I have long said might be the best or biggest PR genius of the last, I don't know, Ben, at least 20 years.
It's he and Donald Trump?
Yeah, honestly.
Yeah.
And I'm not even kidding.
No, he's done it. If you were able to set your kids up to be multi-millionaires based on good, albeit not great elite skills, you've probably done okay as a father, as bizarre as you might be. But he has gotten his kids exactly where he said he was going to get them, minus LiAngelo, who's now a famous rapper.
Who is a success?
Yeah, very successful. Yep.
I sent a DM.
And in all honesty, like I hear he's a very good husband, and honestly, his priorities, if you take out all the noise, is really just the betterment of his family. Which, good on him. There's a lot of people out there with worse priorities than that, certainly. But I don't know, how many years would you say LeVar was truly on the scene? Like 2 years,
18 months, 2 years, yeah.
Man, that he burned bright.
He did,
but. Honestly, the reason I say he's the biggest PR genius is because Lonzo, who the Jazz are soon to cut, has never been a good player.
Uh-huh.
Never.
Yeah.
He wasn't a good player at UCLA.
He was okay at UCLA. That was his brightest.
Go look into it. He wasn't great.
He was all right.
He got him picked second.
I do like
second
that LeVar,
to the team that he wanted to go to.
You know what LeVar is probably good at is finding the sucker. He is the guy who finds somebody he can take advantage of and then does that. And you don't have to fool 1,000 people. You have to fool one person. And he saw Magic Johnson coming from 1,000 miles away and said, that guy is going to bite this hook, line, and sinker.
You say that, but he got his other son released from China, a Chinese prison.
Yeah.
He had
with the help of Donald Trump.
He had the reality show.
He started a shoe brand.
I honestly don't think his other kid is that great, and he got him taken number
2, 3, 2. LaMelo, 3.
Yeah,
he went behind Wiseman and who was the number 1 pick that year? Anthony Edwards. I think it was 3.
And he's had some health issues. I think he lost a leg.
Yep.
I mean, the bluster is hilarious and absolutely mockable, but if you boil it right down, the man's a genius. The man is a genius.
He's gotten everyone taken care of.
Now, his second kid who decided that stealing in China was a good idea, that guy, not a genius.
Yeah.
Don't care what his album sells. Not a genius. Ben, I think I'm going to be in a foreign country next week. I don't really know. And
Florida, yeah.
You know what I'm not going to? No, it's not Florida.
It's going to feel like it.
Because we're on a boat. And
what are these people? What is this culture? This is unlike anything I've ever seen in the United States before.
But I'll tell you what I won't be doing.
Huh.
Stealing.
Yeah. Well, everyone else is stealing in Florida, so you're fine.
No.
Blend right in.
No, I'm not talking about in these United States. I'm talking about in a foreign country.
Okay.
Because the idea of being locked up abroad, in fact, I think they've made a television show about it now, is quite unappealing. Quite appealing. Ben, I will ask you the question that everybody asked you the second they walked in the door, or you walked in the door. Are the Jazz done? Ben, are they done? Are they drawing the line at cutting Lonzo Ball and trading for Jaren Jackson Jr. and then flipping Jock Landale?
There's no reason to. There's no reason to draw a line, be open for business. The Jazz are trying to accomplish one thing before the end of the season. Lose as much as possible. Very little of what you do at the trade deadline between now and then, minus, if you can unload some of these veterans you just got from Memphis and you feel like, hey, that is not somebody we want to pay next year, looking specifically at John Conchar. Now, I don't know that. Maybe the Jazz do want to have John Conchar around. He's been a rotation player in the NBA, which we should get into at some point. The fact that the Jazz starting lineup is going to be excellent next year and the bench is a wreck right now. The bench is a total mystery, and you've got to address a lot of those issues. So who sticks around, who goes, is going to be something we have to discuss. But, yeah, why would you just say, like, nah, we're closed. We're closed for business. No, I think they will remain opportunistic. And if you can get more second-round picks and you have a little bit more money you can still spend to do that, help other teams, because there are still 6 or 7 teams that are quite a bit over the not just the luxury tax, but the tax apron that would love to get under that, and the Jazz can help.
By the way, really quick, before we leave LeVar in the total rearview mirror, because I have a take on your take, certainly. You know who was picked third in that draft behind Lonzo?
Who was it?
Old Jason Tatum.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So you know who loves LeVar Ball? Danny Ainge.
Big Danny.
Danny Ainge.
Yeah.
Because Danny obviously bet that the Lakers were locked in on Lonzo.
Oh, he knew they were, yeah, for sure.
Because Markelle Fultz went number 1, and famously Danny Ainge traded down to 3, knowing that Philly was going to take Fultz, and then knowing that Magic wouldn't take Tatum.
Yeah, knowing that Philly wanted a point guard, and they were going to go get Markelle Fultz. So, yeah, he had the number 1 overall pick and dropped back to get 3 to get a top 8 player in the NBA versus Markelle, who's out of the NBA, and Lonzo, who's about to be out of the NBA.
By the way, Lowry 7 in that draft, Donovan Mitchell 13.
Good draft. Just not the top 2 picks.
Frank Ntilikina 8.
Tough Knicks.
Okay.
Dennis Smith Jr. right there as well at like 9.
Yeah.
Luke
Josh
Kennard.
Jackson at 4.
Oof.
Zach Collins at 10. Malik Monk 11. Luke Kennard, who just got traded to the Lakers.
35th time.
12. I mean, it actually wasn't that great of a draft.
Malik Monk.
John Collins at 19. Jared Allen, who I love, at 22. Yeah, not great. Anywho, sorry, Ben. I distracted. On your to your point about are the Jazz done or not, they probably don't even know. You know, one cool thing about the deadline, and you realize it every year, or not cool, I guess, but stuff gets done right up until the wire. I mean, the reason that there is activity is because there's a deadline, right? Why do we shut down the government every 2 months or whatever? It's because you need a deadline to do anything. You know, it needs to be at the edge of the cliff before you have the courage to pull the trigger. So, you know, I know Giannis, it came out this morning that Giannis is going to stay in Milwaukee. I bet their phone still rings. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Even though apparently Giannis has been pulled off the trade market.
No, that's what I'm saying. But I bet their phone is still ringing.
Minnesota will call them and say, okay, this is our Godfather offer. We were not willing to give you on Wednesday, but it's Thursday. We've got to win a title.
Here it is.
Here it is. This is all we can do.
Yeah. And you never know. Maybe it'll be some home run, and they're like, okay, well, we took him off the market until we didn't. I mean, that's the great, exciting part about it. And the fun part about, or dud part about the show today is we could have news coming down all show.
Yeah.
Or maybe not.
Well, we'll definitely hear some trade news, and there have been a couple of minor trades this morning. Ayo Dosunmu getting traded to the Minnesota Timberwolves, which I like that move. He's a good player. But, yeah, the Jazz have been quite busy. I mean, they've been very active. They pulled off 2 trades yesterday. It's kind of being framed as one trade, and technically it kind of is. But, yeah, they pulled off a couple of trades yesterday, and obviously the Jaren Jackson Jr. trade is the biggest so far, I think.
Oh, I would say, for sure.
James Harden's a big name.
No, that's nothing.
But Jaren Jackson Jr. is probably the most notable player traded as far as a guy still in their prime. Yeah, Anthony Davis, a very big trade still.
But Geezer,
yeah. Harden, Geezer.
Yeah, for sure.
You're talking about teams making weird desperation moves.
Weird Geezer moves, which are always desperate, where you're just moving around deck chairs on the Titanic.
And the Jazz are trying to, launch their boat.
Right.
They're not trying to save it from sinking.
No.
The Jazz have sunk. Now they're getting off the ground.
Yeah, I mean, and didn't Triple J throw out a hashtag take note
He did.
on the Snap Talk?
Yeah.
Not tank note.
No, take note.
Take note.
He's leaning in. He's buying in. Which, you know what? Is that an okay place to start?
Sure.
We've talked a lot about Memphis. We've made fun of Memphis a lot for the last couple of years on the show because we talk about the NBA, and they're kind of a punching bag. There are a couple things that I want to note about Jaren Jackson Jr., which is, first of all, and we saw it here in Salt Lake City when Donovan Mitchell missed that first game and Memphis comes in and beats the Jazz in that 8-1 series just for the first game, and then the Jazz sweep them. But it was not that long ago that Jaren Jackson was viewed as like a legit number 2 on the most exciting young roster in the NBA. Like, he was not Ja Morant, but he was just behind him as far as like the most exciting player on that team. And at just 26 years old now, I would not distance myself from that kind of perception of him being that quality of player. But more importantly, I'm really curious to see how the nonsense that's been going on in Memphis, and I've talked about Team Morant, I've talked about bad ownership, we've talked about the team being relatively cheap and not being willing to really spend money, though they've drafted extremely well. You know, is all the nonsense surrounding that team, has that hurt Jaren Jackson Jr.? Meaning, is there more juice to squeeze out of this player once you put him into a very safe and purposeful environment? The Jazz, as goofy as the last 3.5 years have been, have operated with a purpose. Now, the purpose has been to lose, but I suspect they will flip that switch to win, and they will be very purposeful. You know, they will be very intentional with what these next steps are. How does Jaren respond now that he's in a spot that is a little more serious, that's a little more businesslike, as opposed to all the insanity that comes with Ja Morant and Team Morant and the weird front office that couldn't decide on Taylor Jenkins or Thomas Isolo as their head coach? That could be really good for him.
I would assume he would buy in and do his job, because I assume that about most people until they prove otherwise. Although I had an interesting thought while you were setting that up. I would argue, because we're constantly paranoid that people aren't going to like us, right? Mm-hmm. And aren't going to stay. This is Utah and Salt Lake City after all.
Yeah.
I would argue the bigger the disaster Memphis was, the better.
Jazz did just make another minor trade, though, by the way. The Jazz are acquiring Chris Boucher from the Boston Celtics, which I promise you is just a cost-cutting move. I don't think the Jazz are serious about former Oregon big man Chris Boucher. This is coming from Sham Sharania. Boston, I told you there are 6 or 7 teams that are still way over the luxury tax. Boston is one of those teams. So who are they going to call when they need to save some money? Their old friend Austin Ainge, and say, hey, man, you want to help us out? We'll help you out. And the Jazz, I would imagine, are going to get a second-round pick out of this. I haven't seen the full trade yet.
We'll fill that in.
Yeah.
The bigger the disaster Memphis was, the better. Darren Williams didn't appreciate the Jazz until he went to the Nets.
Yeah.
Does that make any sense? So you go somewhere and you find out that actually Utah and Salt Lake City aren't that bad, and that the Jazz are a pretty well-run organization and they have their players' best interest at heart, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then we're not talking about, oh, does he love us or not? Mm-hmm. And there are not that many examples of Jazz trading for big players that are coming from other franchises, believe it or not. Jeff Hornacek certainly had appreciation when he came here. Derek Fisher did not. But Derek Fisher was coming from the Lakers, and I don't think he really, and this was just me who I was talking to at the time, I don't think he ever treated the Jazz with an open mind.
Okay.
I don't believe that. I don't think he ever gave the opportunity a chance.
Okay.
Because that team actually won, because you think, okay, winning solves everything. Well, in the Derek Fisher situation, it did not. They went to the Western Conference Finals, and then he
bounced,
got himself out shortly thereafter. So the fact that Memphis wasn't an ideal basketball place and that happened, to come to some sanity, I think would be attractive to him. Now, I've never been to Memphis as far as the community goes. Mm-hmm. I'm slow to cast judgment because I've never lived there or been there or whatever. But I have lived here, And I do know that in most cases, people who come here with an open mind usually like it. And I don't know his personal situation. I was trying to look. I'm not sure if he's married or single or whatever. But I do know people from lots of different backgrounds that have found their way here in one way or another. And those people usually find what they're looking for.
Yeah.
Because it's a great place and full of a lot of great people. So I would guess that if it was less than ideal with the Grizzlies, that would be better for the Jazz because they're more allowed to put their best foot forward.
And important to remember, as we've talked about Jaren, his dad's an NBA player. His dad played for a decade, but throughout the 90s. And played for some good organizations, played for the Spurs.
He was good with the Spurs.
I suspect Jaren Jackson Jr. grew up recognized. Now, again, he wasn't probably, when was he born? 99? The very end of his dad's career. So it's not like he has a full understanding of what that was like to be a part of a journeyman's family, but probably was raised with some understanding of what a good program looks like and what a bad program looks like. And as good as Memphis has performed on the floor, as well as they have performed on the floor for the most part over the last half decade, behind the scenes, I just believe it's been a true disaster. So yes, I'm not doubting that Jaren's going to come here and excel. I wonder if there's way more to unlock. And not way more. I mean, he's a great player. I'm just wondering how much easier his life can get now that it's just there's no nonsense. Just the noise around him is gonna be quieted for a team that's pretty all business. The Jazz are a serious organization, and despite all this bizarre tanking that they've experienced over the last 3 years.
And they pass, which is not something you could say about his previous team. Do you know who his mom is?
I don't.
Terry Carmichael Jackson, the current executive director of the Women's National Basketball Players Association.
Yeah.
Crazy. In 2020, featured in Sports Illustrated, the unrelenting on the most powerful women in sports.
I mean, this is a serious person.
Yeah. Well, anyway, he's getting good advice from both parents.
Exactly,
I would guess,
right.
About the basketball world.
That's why I think this can be good for Jaren. This is a serious person who, by all accounts, has just been exceptional in Memphis and has really embraced the city and embraced the community and likes the people there and has never had a bad word to say about anybody or the town. But again, I saw Taylor Jenkins die inside when T. Morant popped his head into a press conference before a game to make it about him here in Salt Lake City. And I know I've told that story a lot. But if you're seeing it as a media member on the 1 or 2 times a year that Memphis comes to Salt Lake City, how often is that happening behind the scenes in Memphis? How engaged are these people? It's got to be distracting, whether you like the person or not. So I think that can be a real positive.
Yeah, I think if the Jazz do it right and are a serious organization and utilize him and do all the things that you have to do with players, I would agree. But I don't know, what happened in Memphis probably is not going to have a whole lot to do with what happens with the Jazz, I would guess.
Yeah, I think that's totally fair.
With Derek Fisher, what happened with the Lakers definitely had an effect on what happened with the Jazz because it was L.A. where everyone wants to go and they were just winning titles, and he was the Harrison Barnes. He was the cast-off that they weren't going to pay, so they traded him to Utah, and he was bitter about it. I don't think that's the case with Jaren Jackson.
Yeah.
His wife was ejected from a high school basketball game.
Oh, Derek Fisher,
Yesterday,
I know.
yeah.
Is that Matt Barnes' ex? Remember that story?
Matt Barnes beat up Derek Fisher because Matt Barnes found them together at a party, not anywhere.
Oh, no, he went to her house.
He drove to the house.
He drove to her house.
And beat up Derek Fisher.
Huh.
You just hear a big pounding on the door.
Oh, man.
Derek. Who is it? It's Matt Barnes.
Matt Barnes is bigger than Derek Fisher.
Quite a bit. I'm bigger than Derek
Fisher.
Fisher.
Next to both of them.
Yeah.
Matt Barnes is quite a bit bigger than Derek Fisher.
Yeah.
Class guy.
Matt or Derek?
Oh, I don't know about Matt, but Derek. I mean, when I hear the word class, I think Derek Fisher. Sold out the whole Union.
Yes, he did.
Pretty amazing.
Have not seen what the Jazz are still getting in this Chris Boucher deal. Again, Chris Boucher is being traded to the Utah Jazz by the Boston Celtics. $2.3 million salary, clears a roster spot for the Celtics. I would just imagine the Jazz are getting a second-round pick or something with this.
All right, stay tuned. We'll have more coming up next. Top 3 stories at KSLSports.com right here on Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
It's time to break down the biggest stories of the day. This is the top 3 stories of the day on KSLSports.com. On 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone, joined Scotty G today at RGS Exteriors. He's going to be there from noon to 3, 4235 Farm Road in West Jordan. Scotty G flying in from Albuquerque, hitting up RGS.
Yeah.
Let's hit the top 3 stories of the day at KSLSports.com, brought to you by J. Brooks Jewelers. Cherish your love with J. Brooks Jewelers. Explore their expertly crafted engagement rings made from the finest materials. J. Brooks Jewelers. Christian, where do you want to start today?
Number 1, BYU loses on the road yesterday at Oklahoma State. That is their 3rd straight loss and 4th out of their last 5 games.
You were talking about Utah State coming in. Is there a real argument Utah State's the best basketball team in the state?
At the moment.
Yeah.
I don't know, head-to-head or whatever, but at the moment, I think you could. Do you want to diagnose BYU's problems? I've got a theory for you.
Well, they should play defense. That would be the first start. Don't let everybody straight line drive you to the basket over and over. And if they are, Kavakata's got to make a major impact defensively, and he did not last night. But, yeah, teams are targeting – look, the truth is teams are targeting everybody on BYU right now. And you can go back and just watch the highlights if you want, but the straight line drives against Richie Saunders are pretty inexcusable. It's really inexcusable that A.J. DeMonts is getting straight line drives past him. He's more athletic and bigger than all of these players. It should not be happening at this level. So that's part of the issue. Now, A.J. is not the problem. A.J. scored, 36 points last night? You can't lose that game if you're BYU on the road. That's why you go out and get that player. On the road, he's going to put you in a situation to win. But, man, it's...
Well, he is part of the problem if he's getting driven like that.
But... He's
like that?
He's winning his matchup.
Yeah,
he's not giving up more than he's scoring.
But see, that's the point. I mean, the best player or whatever sets the tone for the rest of the team.
I am with you.
And honestly, the guarding is the problem. But you can't tell me that those players aren't physically capable of playing defense. So then why aren't they?
Yeah.
And why do they get off to the slow starts? I didn't really believe necessarily these guys read their own headlines too much. I think I do. I think they're thinking, oh, it's the Cowboys on the road. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's on the road, but it's the Cowboys.
Yeah. Utes almost beat them.
I'm just gonna go out there and half arse it.
Yeah.
Maybe they listen to the Jake and Ben show too much when you guys are saying regular season doesn't matter. They take that too easily.
It doesn't. Well, I don't think BYU season's over.
Until you lose.
Yeah.
That's not what I'm saying. But I don't think BYU season's over. They're going to be fine. They're going to beat some teams, and they're going to win some games in the Big 12 tournament and be fine.
We'll see.
But the thing is that to dig in and guard is hard. Mm-hmm. It's hard in the Big 12. It's hard against every team. And if they don't do it, then they're going to lose games. I watched forever Darren Williams in that version of the Utah Jazz, okay? They would go on the road and they lose to just these bozo teams.
Yeah.
And it was because Darren would mail it in. Mm-hmm. Now, Darren mailing it in was still 20-8.
Yeah.
But he would obviously not have that extra gear because he'd be like, oh, it's the Timberwolves. Well, we're going to smoke these guys. And then the rest of the team took the tip from Darren, played a lethargic game, and they would lose.
Yep.
I think BYU might think they've arrived a little bit. Maybe. And it's a veteran team that's been there before, so maybe they're sleepwalking through it.
Here's what's coming up. There are 9 games left in the regular season for BYU. They still have to play Houston, the number 8 team in the country, Arizona, the best team in the country, that's on the road. They play Iowa State. They host that game. They're home against Texas Tech to close the year. Those aren't all in a row, but those are 4 of your final 9 games. And then not included in that list is at Baylor, at West Virginia, at Cincinnati. If you can lose to Oklahoma State on the road, you can lose to anybody. So BYU's got to clean that up. The fear, though, does become that the Jazz the Cougars don't end up with a 3 seed. They end up with a 5 seed. And now your pathway to getting out of the first weekend is significantly more difficult. And you've shown you're vulnerable to slow starts and losing to bad teams.
Well, that line of thinking, I'm not saying necessarily yours, but that line of thinking, like down the road, like they have arrived. Even though our Radio Bozo opinion is BYU's still going to get in, we'll see what seed, but they think like that.
Yeah.
Like,
Like that?
And that's how you lose to Oklahoma State. If you're talking about the immediate, they need to get rid of that crap and dig in and win a basketball game.
Yeah.
And beating one of those teams would certainly be good for confidence, but they're going to have to guard to beat any of those teams. If they keep giving them 99 points, I don't care who it's to, they're going to lose a ton.
Yeah, you can't let opposing perimeter players score 30, and they've run into that now. So,
and by the way, Houston's going to limit you to 40, so you better figure out a way to guard them.
And has another lottery pick point guard that's going to be coming out that is going to put up points. So, yeah, no,
I've said it for a while now. They need a wake-up call. Maybe this is it.
I'm not as worried about this with AJ as I do some players, because you even heard it from Oklahoma State's head coach yesterday after the game. Apparently one of the BYU players skipped the Oklahoma State coach in the handshake line after the game, and AJ grabbed that player and said, go shake his hand. There is clearly a buy-in from AJ. I do worry about one-year players or mercenary transfers that say, I thought we were a championship contender. We're not. I'm just looking forward to my next stop, which is the NBA, which happens with a lot of one-and-done players. A lot of one-and-done guys or transfers look for their next stop, their next payday, the NBA. I'm not as worried about that with AJ, but as soon as the NBA becomes a bigger priority than what he's doing in BYU right now, and if BYU continues to play this way, naturally that will happen. Yes, this thing can not fall apart, but drop off quickly.
What's next?
Number 2, NBA trade deadline coming up in just about 2.5 hours.
Jazz have already made another move this morning. They're acquiring Chris Boucher from the Boston Celtics. I still have not seen exactly what the Jazz are getting back here. Again, I would suspect it would be a second-round draft pick. Boston has a couple. They don't have a ton to give up. But, it looks like probably a second-rounder. I'd imagine the Jazz then buy out Chris Boucher. They don't have to. They can leave him. The Jazz have an extra roster spot right now as soon as they get rid of Lonzo Ball.
Maybe they take cash money. I don't know.
Sure.
Wasn't that the deal with Atlanta?
The Jazz sold Jock Landale for money. Yeah. Now, they did it because it was basically a part of the 3-team trade that included Lonzo coming to the Jazz, because you had to bring Lonzo in, even before you could waive him, you had to clear a roster spot. So you sent him to Atlanta, and Atlanta said, fine, we could use a big center. They've had a really horrible center rotation this year without Kristaps Porzingis in the lineup, and so the Jazz said, how about a little bit of money?
Has anybody made themselves better this year?
This year, Minnesota did. Getting Ayo Dosunmu this morning. He's a good player. He's a good point guard defender, and they were a disaster at point guard.
You're not loving Luke Kennard for the Lakers?
No. They're in the weird situation in LA that they are just capped by who their most important player is. Not their best player, their most important, and their most important player is LeBron James. The same way the Cavaliers are now capped by their most important player, which is actually James Harden. It's not Donovan, even though Donovan's a better player at this point in his career. So when you've got that flawed of a player on your roster, but they're your most important player, your ceiling is capped. So it doesn't...
Define important. I'm kind of... What do you mean?
That everything culturally, every headline is based around who that player is for the rest of the season. It's all LeBron. LeBron's leaving this offseason. What are these last 28 games going to look like? What's the Lakers send-off going to feel like? How far can they go in the playoffs? It actually doesn't matter that much, but he's so heliocentric. Everything they do.
I don't know if that's true. I think it's all about Luka with the Lakers. I think LeBron has a problem with that, but I think it's all about Luka with the Lakers. Even these moves are not about LeBron.
They're not about LeBron at all.
About LeBron, I think. And if you watch the Lakers play, it's not all about LeBron.
No, it's not.
It's not. Unless Luka's off the floor, it's not about LeBron at all. So I don't know. That's why I asked define important, because I'm having a tough time connecting that. I mean, LeBron still makes headlines, sure, but I don't think Laker fans, and I certainly don't think the Laker franchise thinks it's all about LeBron. They can't get LeBron out the door fast enough.
Correct, but they can't get him out the door. And that's the problem. Yes, they want to move on from LeBron. Yes, they want to be done with those shenanigans. They don't have an ability to do it. So LeBron right now, as long as he's there for the next 30 games, making $50+ million a year, is still just such a massive setback for them. In all honesty, and I'm a big LeBron fan. He's just not worth $50 million right now. So as long as you have this $50 million anchor on your roster, he's really going to hold you back. So they can't move beyond that.
Well, but if by important you mean overpaid, I can jump on board.
That's certainly a big part of it. But yeah, just that's going to be the conversation. After this trade deadline, you're going to hear a lot of LeBron talk, because they can't really turn the page, I don't think, to Luka until LeBron's off the roster. As much as they're trying to. But yeah, what are you trading for Luke Kennard for? He's not making you a championship contender. It's just these weird ancillary moves that don't matter until you move on from LeBron.
What's next?
Number 3, big win for the Mammoth last night, 4-1. It's their final game before the Olympic break.
Most importantly, got off to a hot start, jumped out 2-0, and then kind of just kept piling on it. Ended up being up 3-0 before Detroit ended up scoring, and they got the empty netter late. But, yeah, you win those 2 games after a very disappointing close to that road trip. It was still successful from a points perspective, but not beating Carolina when you had a 2-goal lead with 2 minutes to go hurt. How were you going to bounce back from that? What type of adversity were you going to be able to overcome? And by winning these last 2 games, they haven't guaranteed themselves a spot in the playoffs, but they go into this 3-week break with pretty well. At least they're in the wild card if it were to begin today. So they've got to feel very confident. And a bad night around the NHL for the other teams chasing that wild card spot.
Do you remember a big narrative in the NBA bubble? Was, boy, you could tell which teams took the time off seriously or which players took the time off seriously. Yeah, a similar narrative after the lockout in the NBA. You can see which players, ate their meal plan or were simply hitting McDonald's.
Yep.
3 weeks off is an eternity. So I wonder what the Mammoth are going to do to sustain their current momentum. Because you say, playoffs or not or whatever, but we know it's how you're playing going into the playoffs.
Yeah.
And you certainly don't want an epic collapse, which is probably what it would take to miss the playoffs. But being away from it for 3 weeks is pretty wild. So I wonder what kind of regiment the Mammoths are setting up for their players. I mean, it obviously includes time off because you want to take advantage of rest too, but what are you going to do in that 3 weeks to make sure you pick it up where you left it off?
I think traditional thought would say that this 3 weeks will benefit the veterans the most. So these older teams, and the Mammoth are not an old team; they were a young team. It would benefit these older teams that get a rest that they weren't used to in the middle of the season, so they should come back sharp. And that could certainly be the case. I mean, LeBron and the Lakers won a championship with a relatively old roster. They weren't the youngest team in the bubble, and they found a way to get through and keep it alive. On the flip side, a lot of people thought, the Jazz are going to cakewalk during the lockout-shortened season because Michael Jordan's out of the league. This is a veteran team that's been there before. They're going to know exactly how to handle this. And the Jazz couldn't handle the wear and tear on the body of that condensed schedule. Well, you come back between February 25th and April 16th, the final day of the regular season, and you are basically playing every other day. I mean, on average. I wonder if there will be an extra grind on this final push to get to the playoffs that could wear some of these veterans out. So that's something I'd be keeping an eye on.
All right, stay tuned. We'll get to more coming up next. We will talk to our friend Nick Olczyk at the top of the 11 o'clock hour. At 11:30, Damichael Cole, who covers the Grizzlies for the Memphis Commercial Appeal, is going to be on the show. So stay tuned. More next, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
The sports you love, the teams you can't live without.
Get a sense of urgency!
This is Jake Scott and Ben Anderson on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. This week, the world is watching. We've got the big game on Sunday, the Olympic opening ceremonies. You could be watching on your brand new 75-inch smart TV. The KSL Sports Zone wants you front and center for every unforgettable moment. Enter to win at kslsports.com/contest. And for additional entries, listen all day for keywords that will be announced on each show. The more entries you have, the better chance you have to win. So today's keyword for the Jake and Ben show, listen carefully, touchdown.
Can you spell that for me?
No. Touchdown. Listen to the KSL Sports Zone all day today to hear more keywords. Christian, you are, we've got Nick Olczyk, top of the 11 o'clock hour. You are our resident young person. Who is Tate McRae?
She is a pop singer. She is from Canada, and I'm assuming that's why you're asking.
I am, because like all great things from Canada, the United States has claimed her for our own.
Oh, all right.
Yes. Is she any good? You a fan?
No, not my type of music, no.
No? Do you have a
hater,
like an old school comp?
Kind of like, she's been compared to Britney Spears, like early Britney Spears.
So she filmed an advertisement for NBC's Olympic coverage. And she talked about how she'll be going over there and hanging out with Team USA. She's excited to be there and basically said, go USA.
Okay.
Canadians' feathers are ruffled. People out there are calling her a traitor, and they're bent out of shape. Do you have any opinion?
Well, I was rooting for the Edmonton Oilers in last year's Stanley Cup playoffs.
You are a traitor.
Over the foreign country that is Florida and the Florida Panthers.
And if we could give you to Canada, we gladly would.
As long as I'm not going to Florida, pal.
But John Candy, ours.
Mine.
Dan Aykroyd,
yeah.
Ours.
Yeah. Catherine O'Hara.
Ours.
Yeah.
The now deceased drummer from Rush.
Oh, is he dead?
Neil Peart?
Neil Peart's dead?
I think so.
Okay. You can keep the rest of Rush. Rush stinks, but we will take Neil Peart because the drums are cool.
That's what I'm saying. Steve Nash, ours. Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, ours.
Sure. Not in the actual Olympics.
Hockey, ours.
Hockey hours, yeah. Well, Canada can't win a Stanley Cup to save their life, so.
They did win the Four Nations, though.
Maple syrup, ours.
We've got Dylan Gunther, ours.
I'm saying anything good in Canada, we just make our own. Noticed we did not adopt Mounties. We have something cool like the FBI.
Trudeau.
Well,
are we trying to get him with Katie?
I think we are more trying to rid ourselves of Katie.
To ditch Katy Perry.
I think that's more
We're
likely.
pawning her off.
Well,
after the great space extravaganza.
Yeah, after the space thing, that was it. That was it.
We tried to leave her up there. And now we're sending her to Canada.
Now she's off to Canada. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Anything good in Canada, we make our own, including Tate McRae, apparently.
Okay.
That's all I'm saying. Any thoughts, Christian?
No, I agree. Yeah, go America. All right.
Are you excited about the Olympics, Christian?
I am. Turns out the gold medal match for hockey is going to be at 6 a.m. on a Sunday morning.
Time to get up.
So wake up for hockey.
Get up.
February 22nd.
If USA's playing.
That would be ideal, yeah.
Yeah. Czechia, Germany. Not as many people waking up, though we have some locals on both those teams.
Czechia?
Czechia.
Like the Czech Republic or Chechnya?
Czechia. Yes, like the Czech Republic.
Okay. I don't think it's Czechia.
100% promise you it's Czechia.
Czechia now? When did they change that?
They change it all the time, I think.
Oh, okay.
It's where Karel Milk is playing.
Czechia.
Czechia.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, you grow up with it as Czechoslovakia, and then you have to get used to it being the Czech Republic. And now Czechia?
Now Czechia.
I like the Czech Republic better. No?
It's not up to me.
Any late trades, Ben? You're glued to it over there.
I'm still trying to figure out what the Jazz are getting back from, and I've got to send some texts to figure out what the Jazz are getting back. But I strongly suspect they're getting a second-round pick with Chris Boucher to eat his $2.5 million.
Wouldn't they have mentioned that, though?
You would think so. Could just be cash. We'll see.
Well, like you said, it could be favors. And this stuff happens all the time.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think the Jazz are paying somebody $2 million just to do Boston a favor, but we'll see.
No, but I mean, is it any coincidence that Lowry and SVHT have the same agent?
No, of course not. Yeah, the Jazz have done this deal already for the Celtics. You know, they took on George Niang's contract last year to allow Boston to have more financial freedom. So, yeah, you make friends around the league.
All right, Nick Olczyk is going to join us coming up next. We'll talk a little Mammoth hockey. We'll ask Nick what he's doing during the break. Probably going home.
Chicago? Check in?
It is quite cold in Chicago.
Yeah.
All right, stay tuned. Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
The sports you love, the teams you can't live without.
Get a sense of urgency!
This is Jake Scott and Ben Anderson on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. It's time to talk a little Mammoth hockey as they go on, into the break on a positive note. Joining us now makes the magic happen on the Mammoth broadcast. He's our buddy Nick Olczyk. What's going on, Nick?
Jake and Ben, what's up, boys? Couple of huge games there before the break, and now everybody can take a nice big deep breath and enjoy the next couple of weeks. But was a hell of a last couple of nights there at the Delta Center.
We've seen this team really ride momentum positively and negatively, and I thought after losing to the Hurricanes that might be a borderline disastrous end of that road trip that could bleed into the Olympics, and they bounce back maybe as well as they bounce back at any point since they've been in Utah.
Yeah, I think it's times like that where you have to rely on the veterans in your group, the guys that have been around, the Nate Schmitz, the Ian Coles, guys like Mikhail Sergachev, who's got 2 Stanley Cups to his name, and Kevin Stenlund, who's got a Stanley Cup as well. And obviously it starts and ends with the guys you pay a lot of money to produce for your team, the likes of Clayton Keller and Nick Schmaltz and so on and so forth. And I just think that, the one thing is that this group really hasn't gotten too high or too low too often. I mean, it's going to happen over the course of an 82-game grind, no doubt. I mean, let's think back to October where this team won 7 in a row. And then after that 7th game, they went on to lose 9 of the next 11. So I think that they maybe had a little bit of learning, a little bit of maturing, a little bit of figuring out what to do earlier in the year. But, whether it is that game against Carolina, the epic collapse there at the end of the game, but let's also not forget 8 days prior is when they had the comeback of this franchise's history, completing the 2-goal comeback and then the OT winner against the Philadelphia Flyers, which was the feeling of emotion, the exact opposite of what they were feeling in Carolina. And then they come home and you chase the game against the Dallas Stars. You let up a couple of power play goals, and then you're sitting there after the Dallas game and going, oh, boy. I mean, we've lost 3 out of our last 4. We got to win these next 2 going into the break. And then they outscore their opposition against Vancouver and Detroit 10-3. So I just think that this team has handled the momentum swings really well in a season. And there's going to be stretches where the power play's ice cold. There's going to be stretches where the PK is ice cold, and they ran into a portion of time there where both were pretty cold at the same time. But now you see the light at the end of the tunnel. You keep your head above water. You keep pushing and finding solutions and adjustments through some of the tough times. And look at where this team is at right now, currently sitting in the top wild card spot, 4 points from being out of a playoff position. And yes, some teams that are below them do have games in hand, but this team has positioned themselves in a heck of a spot, and I think everybody should be very excited for the final 25 games because it is going to be an absolute sprint to the end of the regular season.
3 weeks off is an eternity, and I would guess that the team that's playing well, riding a little wave right now, probably it's not ideal to take 3 weeks off. So I guess with that in mind, what's the regimen do you think going to be like? I'm sure they'll give them time off and R&R, but how do they stay sharp and keep the momentum going? Yeah,
well, a lot of these guys that will not be playing in the Olympics, I mean, they're going to get a good week and a half off, and deservedly so. This season more than any other season with the condensed schedule has really been a bear for these guys to try to handle and prepare for both mentally and physically day in and day out. And, the injuries are up slightly. I think when we get to the end of the season, we will probably find out that a lot of these guys were playing hurt, as hockey players always do. But I think even more so this year with guys trying to make their Olympic team and players trying to give their team the best chance by having them in the lineup. And I've talked to some players, and it's not even just the fact of playing a lot of games. Like hockey players love playing a lot of games. These guys would rather play the games than practice. But I would say even more so it's the recovery, trying to make sure that their bodies are in the best condition possible after games, with travel, while being on the road, and not having the full access to the equipment, to the devices and the tools, and just the comfort of being at home. And so now, all the guys not named Keller, Vamelka, Peterka, and Mata will have a chance to, go experience some 80-degree weather on a beach in Mexico, or have a staycation here in Utah, or just hang out at home and try to rest, recover, and reset, because there's nothing quite like the excitement of when you come back to practice and you know that you've got a playoff push to go. But with all that relaxation being said, these guys are still going to stay in shape. They're still going to lift some weights. They're still going to get on the bike. They're still going to work on their cardio. But I think a very well-deserved, toned-down week of time here coming up for not just the Utah Mammoth players, but I think for the good of all players in the National Hockey League, which should lead to an energized stretch run here at the end of the season.
Do you think this helps the veterans in the NHL more or some of the young players to get this mini break before the final push of the season?
I would say both, and I'm not trying to cop out, but I really would say both because, the guys that have been around, right? I mean, their bodies are naturally going to be a little bit more worn down. So I think that's going to give them the time that they need, and especially for those guys on a human side of things, to spend more time with their families. I mean, these National Hockey League players are away from their families so many nights throughout the course of the year, especially with how many road games that the Mammoths specifically have played up until this point. I think for the human element, I think it's going to be a much welcomed break for the guys that do have families that can really spend a significant amount of time with their significant others and with their kids. And for the younger players, for guys that are maybe still learning what it takes to really understand, and understand is not necessarily just in the head, but in the body of what the grind of 82 games is. I think this will be a great reset for those guys as well, just to be able to breathe, get a little reprieve, and attack this season once it resumes. So I really do think it is split up the middle because there's so many pros to this, but also understanding that these guys have to make sure that they're ready because, boys, once this break is over, you've got the Colorado Avalanche at home on Wednesday, February 25th, and then you take on the Minnesota Wild 2 days later at home. And, oh, by the way, for those that may not be keeping tabs on the standings, those are the first and second teams both in the Central Division, which is the Mammoth division, as well as the two best teams in the entire National Hockey League. So it's not like you get a little couple of warm-up games here, and look, we know no easy games in the league, but it's not like you're going to be playing bottom-of-the-barrel teams. You're coming right out of the break facing teams that you're chasing in the standings, and so I think that's motivation enough for these guys to make sure that they're ready, whether they are an older player or a younger player once this break concludes.
For those of us who are going to be dialed into the Olympics and what's going on in that tournament, talk about the differences between NHL hockey and Olympic hockey, and do you like Olympic hockey?
I love it, and I'm just so happy. And guys, I've said this, people are probably getting tired of it, but I know that there's always the chance of somebody new listening. But just to provide a little perspective and context here is that the National Hockey League players, it's not like they've played in every Olympics. It's not like we've had Olympic games playing ice hockey where it's always been best on best. As a matter of fact, the last 12 years, the National Hockey League players have not played at the Olympic Games. The last time they did was 2014. And so I'm so thrilled for the world to watch the very best put on their country's colors, because a lot of these guys, especially over in the European countries, because while the NHL nowadays is like that's where everybody wants to get to, it wasn't all that long ago where technology wasn't advanced, to the point where, kids in Slovakia and kids in Czechia would go on their iPhone and they'd find highlights of their favorite NHL players. Like back in the day, those guys just wanted to play in the professional leagues where they grew up. They wanted to represent their country. And so the foundational pride of being able to put on your country's colors is, I think that may even be a first dream for a lot of these players. And you even think about a guy like a Clayton Keller, who before he played in the NHL, he was wearing the red, white, and blue when he was 16 years old at World Junior Championships representing the United States. And so, that carries a massive weight. And so to have the National Hockey League players, the best in the world, taking on one another and on the biggest international stage, I love it. I can't wait to see it. And I think we all got a really nice glimpse as to what it could be like last year at the Four Nations face-off. It'll be different. There will be double IHF rules, meaning that, for example, there's no fighting. Rules are going to be called, penalties are going to be called a little bit differently. They're going to have half international double IHF, which stands for the International Ice Hockey Federation. They're going to have referees from that conglomeration, and they're also going to have National Hockey League referees over there as well. And so they're going to find a way to balance that because refs call games differently. The IIHF, I think they're a little bit more apt and willing to call penalties and from their perspective protect the players more. And as I mentioned, no fighting. And the other thing, too, guys, that we have to understand is that the rink dimensions are going to be a little bit different over in Milano. And an NHL rink is 200 feet by 85. And due to some miscalculations or maybe the exchange currency is 3 shy of that, going from an NHL rink to a rink built in Italy, but it's going to be only 197 feet long. Like, is that going to make the biggest difference in the world? No, because you give these NHL players a chance to represent their countries in a parking lot in a frozen city. They would go and play there because these guys really push for this in the latest collective bargaining agreement. So there will be some things that are a little bit different. But at the end of the day, to see our players, the best players in the world, on the grandest stage is going to be something that is appointment television. And I know, like a lot of other people, I am so excited. And I'm really not just saying that. It's going to be an amazing tournament.
Well, Nick, along those lines, one of the fun things about the Olympics is you get to root for players who are generally on other teams if you're a Mammoth fan. So if you're an American, who are the names that you are watching? Who are going to be the players that, if they win gold or get to the gold medal game, are going to play the biggest role?
Well, the guys I think that really jump off the page are, the likes of Jack Eichel, who is a bona fide number one superstar player in the NHL who plays for the Vegas Golden Knights. And there was actually a guy playing for the Detroit Red Wings last night, in Dylan Larkin, who is such a versatile player in that he's the number one center for the Detroit Red Wings, and he's their captain. But when he represented the United States last year at the Four Nations Face-Off, he was trusted more in a role player type of role, where he wasn't playing 20 minutes a night. He wasn't playing on the first or the second line. He was more of a depth center, a penalty killer, and he was and will continue to be heralded for the work that he did in those facets. And the other thing too that's really awesome about the Olympics, Jake and Ben, is that superstar players in the NHL will go over, and it doesn't mean that they're going to play that superstar role for their country. And a guy like a Clayton Keller, he may not get top 6 minutes, and so then if he is playing and to see what line he's going to be on and see the type of role he's going to have, like what an amazing thing to embrace that different type of responsibility on a team. And then when the Olympics are over, hopefully with the United States bringing back a gold medal, that those players can come back and it's all of a sudden now they're going to have a whole new understanding of the other roles on a team. And look, these guys are the best of the best. So it's not like, I don't know how to play this type of role, but just to be able to have that experience and be forced into one of those types of spots, I think is going to be great for all of these players. And so to see the different roles that guys take on, I think is always one of the more exciting things for me, because you are joining the guys that are the greatest to do what they do, coming from your country. But the names that jump off the page, I'm really excited to see the Winnipeg Jets goaltender Connor Hellebuck. It's been a rough year for the Winnipeg Jets. And can Connor Hellebuck kind of put all of that behind him and be the best goalie in the league, which I think he certainly has a case to call himself. I mentioned Jack Eichel. Tage Thompson's another guy who made the United States team for the first time and will be in his first Olympics. He can shoot the puck as well as anybody in the league, especially a one-timer on the power play. And the list goes on. And so no matter who they play for the NHL club, if they're wearing red, white, and blue, I'm all in on everybody. But again, the aspect of each guy assuming a little bit of a different role or a lot of a different role will be something that'll be really, really awesome to see from the start to the finish of the Olympic Games.
All right, this is kind of, well, it is definitely changing gears. But when I think of Olympic hockey, I think of the Miracle on Ice. And then I think of the movie Miracle, which I thought was very good. Mm-hmm. And it got me to thinking, hockey is a pretty strong movie vehicle, right? Because basketball sucks for movies. Mm-hmm. Baseball's great. Football, boxing, obviously amazing.
Yeah.
What do you think about hockey as a vehicle for movies?
Yep.
And what is the best hockey movie?
Well, I know I'm biased, but when I watch Miracle, it's hard not to repeat as many lines as I know, which is quite a few. I think every hockey fan or every hockey player has watched Miracle upwards of 20 times, whether it be riding in mom and dad's car, looking at the DVD player if you had one in your car, to and from every hockey road trip, or on the bus with the boys when you were playing junior hockey in the teenage years. I think it's an amazing vehicle because of everything that hockey teaches. And I don't mean to get overly philosophical here and put on my teaching cap, but I just think for everything that hockey teaches people about the importance of selfishness, the importance of course, hard work and dedication to what you do, but most importantly of what it's like to be part of a team, what it's like to be part of something that's bigger than yourself, to truly lay your body on the line for the guy sitting next to you or the girl sitting next to you. To me, other than protecting your country, like that's something that is something to really take a lot of pride in. And so everything that hockey stands for, hockey culture, I'm so proud to be part of the game. And I think that certain movies like Miracle have captured the spirit of the game, a willingness to play through things. You know, the infamous scene, the knee's a hell of a long way from the heart in the locker room. Like that's the ultimate dedication, I think, is to fight through something for things that are greater than yourself. And so whether it's Miracle, whether it's Slapshot, which I would recommend to any of the older audience listening, if you're under the age of 18, please do not watch it. But if you're over 18, it is a movie where you will laugh, you will scoff, you will maybe shed a tear or two. But that's an absolute classic as well. You've got movies like Youngblood, which tells the story about a star player who's trying to fit in on his new team. You've got The Mighty Ducks for any of the younger audience out there, which captures the imagination of some really fun characters that have gone on to have amazing acting careers and whatnot. So look, sports in general, guys. I mean, you guys know this, working together, working at the great radio station and in sports and in media that you guys do. Like, you're not always going to love everybody you work around. Like, that's just the reality of life. If you can like more than you don't, that's great. But it doesn't mean that you put that in front of the job at hand. It means that no matter what you're doing, where you are, you're going to support the people as best you can around them and put forth your best effort, so that way the rising tide can bring all the boats with it. So hockey has been my life since I came out of the womb with a stick in my hands, as my mom says. I don't know if that's possible or sanitary, but that's how she says. So I know I'm very biased in that regard, but just the sport, what it teaches you, especially young people, whether it be movies, whether it be actually playing, whether it be watching highlights or following the Utah Mammoth, I think there is no greater sport to follow and to be part of. Mystery
Alaska, way underrated.
Yes, 100%.
Russell Crowe and Burt Reynolds together at last. Is The Cutting Edge a hockey movie or a figure skating movie?
Ooh, well, when I think figure skating, I know Blades of Glory. I know Blades of Glory is a figure skating movie, but I'm just going to have to say that I honestly, I'm being honest with you guys, I haven't heard of Cutting Edge.
No, it's early '90s romance. If you've got
is it figure skating or hockey?
That's what I'm saying. Well, it's a hockey player who turns into a figure skater. So if you've got a need of a cozy romantic movie, Nick, turn on Cutting Edge.
All right. I think we all need one of those. So good.
Happy Gilmore, hockey movie.
Oh, I mean, yeah, of course. That's that opening scene when he's trying to when he's trying to make the team at the tryouts and he's surprised that he's cut and then he goes, well, why was I cut? And he goes, well, yeah, because he took his skate off and tried to stab somebody with it. Like, it's just Adam Sandler is fantastic in all those old movies of Happy Gilmore and Big Daddy and all those. Those are a blast. Billy Madison too, of course.
Happy Gilmore 2 might have been the worst movie
Pretty rough.
ever made.
Pretty rough.
I haven't seen it, but I heard good things. But you guys are the first I've heard that said it was bad.
It's terrible. I mean,
watch Shoresy instead.
To say
you want some hockey content, take up Shoresy.
To say bad is an
deal.
understatement. Nick, we love you. We appreciate you coming on. Thanks for all that you do.
My pleasure, guys. I appreciate you having me back every week. It's always something that I really look forward to. So the love is mutual. Hopefully you guys can enjoy a little bit of a break from hockey, even though we all don't want ever a break from hockey. I think it'll be nice to kind of recharge the batteries and come back for what will be. And I want everybody to hear me when I say this. This team has as good of a chance as any team in this position to make the playoffs. And I ain't saying that because they cut my checks. I watched this team for 57 straight games. This team will be there in the end. So make sure that you don't miss any of it when the Utah Mammoth are back in action on February 25th.
Thanks, Nick.
See you, boys.
See you, buddy. All right, there you go. That's our friend Nick Olczyk with us. Rank sports for movie vehicles.
Boxing.
1, I think that's a given.
Golf.
2, really? Think golf? I would put baseball 2.
Okay, yeah, baseball's probably 2. It's people like baseball more than golf historically in our country, so people have invested more into making great movies about baseball.
Baseball's also
translates extremely well.
It's also slower, so it's not necessarily if a basketball movie has basketball recreation in it, and they pick these actors that have no idea how to play basketball.
Same with football, it doesn't work.
Yeah, right. It just doesn't. But hockey, we just rattle off a bunch of awesome movies. I would put hockey maybe right behind baseball. I don't know. You throw golf in there. Yeah.
Individual sports are easy to make movies about. Baseball is basically an individual sport. Yes, it's a team, but there's 9 different guys.
There's never been a good tennis movie made.
Challengers last year was the best movie of last year. Challengers absolutely rules.
Yeah, I never saw it.
Yeah. Well, I don't think there's ever been a good boxing movie made. You seen Raging Bull? No.
Yeah, but Raging Bull was made 40 years ago.
Well, you weren't alive then.
But I mean, I've had a lot of time to see it.
Sure. You've had a year and a half to see Challengers.
What's that Kirsten Dunst tennis movie? I heard that was terrible.
Match Point?
Is that what it was?
Is she in that one? Or is that with ScarJo?
Where would you put Bobsled? Because Cool Runnings is pretty amazing.
Very good.
But I'm pretty sure it carries the genre.
Yeah. Could we do an Olympic movie draft? There's probably not enough.
Bobsled? I bet we could find 10 Olympic movies.
Cool Runnings, and it's Miracle.
I would throw Cutting Edge as an Olympic movie.
Oh, you think so? Okay.
I think they go to the Olympics, yeah.
All right. Argo?
Was
Argo the Olympic? What's the one where they're trying to get everyone out? Not Argo.
Oh, no. That's you're thinking of Munich.
Came out same month, I think.
The old one, the famous one about the runner with the
Yeah.
with the soundtrack that everybody is always
Chariots of Fire?
Chariots of Fire.
Yeah.
You guys are burning all your
Well, we're not going to
selections.
draft it. There's only 3. We've named them all.
Oh, I think there's way more. All right, stay tuned. We're going to talk to Damichael Cole coming up next. He covers the Grizz, so we'll get his thoughts on the Jaren Jackson Jr. trade straight ahead. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Who's got it better than us?
Your home for the best sports coverage in Utah. You're listening to Jake Scott and Ben Anderson on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. The Jazz acquisition of Jaren Jackson Jr. continues to be the biggest story in town. So joining us now to talk about it, he covers the Grizzlies for the Memphis Commercial Appeal. He's Damichael Cole with us here on Jake and Ben. Damichael, thanks for a few minutes. How are you doing?
Hey, guys, I'm surviving. Another trade deadline here in Memphis, and as you guys can see, it's been pretty busy, but we're getting through it.
Yeah, this is a different type of trade deadline for the Grizzlies, who have traditionally tried to be a buyer for the last couple of deadlines, and then they moved off of Desmond Bane over the summer, and then obviously now Jaren Jackson Jr. So give us some background on what you know about Jaren Jackson Jr. and the type of person and player the Jazz are getting.
Oh, man, I mean, I don't know where to start. I mean, there's 2 kind of, pathways you can go down there where you're talking about the person Jaren was as involved in the Memphis community as, any player in my time, without a doubt. I used to joke, with people, around there that he was like the unofficial spokesperson for the Grizzlies. At the beginning of the season when a player has to get the mic and go to half court and, thank the fans for their support, it was Jaren Jackson Jr. every year. At the end of the season when the player has to do that, it was Jaren Jackson Jr. On MLK Day when the Grizzlies play, it's Jaren, thanking the fans, talking about the importance of MLK Day. He has his own foundation, Jaren Jackson Jr. Foundation, where it's basically just, it's a kind of an ode to the way he grew up. He grew up with a father who played in the league. He also grew up with a mother who's now, working with the WNBA Players Association. So he's kind of brought up in this professional setting where he understands the business. He understands, his duty, I guess you could say, as a player who has a platform, who has a voice. And he's real good with those things on the floor, transitioning more to the basketball side. You're getting a player who, he notable flaws, but he has notable strengths as well. With his strength, he has pretty much improved every single year of his career, becoming a more all-around offensive player. He's getting to the basket. When he's playing the 4, he's usually stronger than guys. When he's playing the 5, he's usually quicker on the offensive end. He hasn't been recording as many blocks as usual in recent years, but the other underrated part of his defense is his hands. He gets a lot of steals, deflections, and things like that. You'll see when guys drive to the basket on him, he'll reach every now and then and knock the ball loose. So, he's an all-around defender. Of course, the 2 weaknesses that a lot of people point to with Jaren is, he's often been in foul trouble over the course of his career. And then, of course, the rebounding. But I've learned that in the time covering the Grizzlies, when you pair him with someone who's a high-quality rebounder, you kind of minimize, those weaknesses a little bit. The Grizzlies, you remember when they were at their best, they had Steven Adams. In a smaller sample size when he played alongside of Zach Edey, we saw those similarities as well. So when you pair him, with a big who can, where rebounding doesn't have to be the main focus for him, where he can play the 4 spot instead of the 5. I think he maximized Jaren's skill set.
I'm curious, the fans around here, Damichael, are seeing this as a signal that the rebuild is over and that they're going to get back to competing for playoffs next year. And I'm curious, as somebody, you don't cover the Jazz, obviously, but as somebody who covers the NBA, I'm curious to what you think about his fit with this current Jazz team. You mentioned he likes, playing against another big, Jazz with Walker Kessler, Lauri Markkanen, obviously, Ace Bailey, the young rookie. Curious to your thoughts on how this fits for the Jazz.
Well, the good is, again, you can pair him with Kessler and Markkanen, and I think, he fits right in that group. He's very skilled. He can play on the perimeter. When, Walker Kessler is in foul trouble, you can slide him to the 5 in stretches. He did that in Memphis, a large part of his career, and he can play, at the 5 and take advantage of mismatches there as well. So I think it's a strong fit, from that standpoint. I think Keontae George, because of his ability to shoot the basketball a little bit better than Ja, will be probably a better kind of, partner from that standpoint where, Ja and Jaren's kind of inconsistent shooting abilities kind of made it tough at times for those two to kind of mesh really well. If you want to hear the downside, I'd say that, I think, when we talk about Utah, Lauri Markkanen isn't kind of renowned for his passing ability. And I remember as Ace Bailey was coming through the draft process, that wasn't a big thing, for him either. And Jaren Jackson Jr., has pretty much throughout the most of his time in Memphis has graded out as one of the, in the bottom tier of the league in playmaking. So you'll see a lot of times against the Grizzlies, teams will bring, double teams, from the weak side. They'll blitz them. And, sometimes he'll turn the ball over. Sometimes he'll pass out of it, but it's usually sometimes not the right pass. And sometimes he just says, screw it. I'm just going to try to score over it. But he still hasn't developed, as a strong playmaker. If you look at his numbers over the course of the years, you'll see several seasons where he averaged more turnovers than assists. So I'm looking at the fact that, Ace Bailey, Larry Markkinen, Jaren Jackson Jr., three guys not really known for their playmaking ability is probably going to put a lot on Keontae George.
Continuing with that, where do you think Jaren Jackson is most comfortable as far as like being a go-to scorer? Larry Markkinen's almost 28 points a game. He's kind of the number one option for the Jazz. Is Jaren Jackson best as a number 2 best scorer? Is he best as a number 3? How do you think he approaches that and how he views it also?
Yeah, 2 or 3 is the best. Right. I mean, if you have him as your third option, man, that's a big win. But like this season, for example, while Ja's been out, the Grizzlies have gone to Jaren a lot in those clutch time situations, and the numbers haven't been good. He's not graded out as a good, scorer in clutch time moments this year. He's been actually one of the league's worst in that category. But if you go over the course of Jaren's career and you look at his numbers in isolations, he's actually been really good, so he's usually at his best when you can give him the ball, top of the key. He can use that. Again, he's a 6'10", 6'11" guy with wiggle and strength. So when he has that smaller guy on him, he can be physical and use his left hand, use his right hand. And when he has the bigger guy on him, I think of, a guy who's in Utah now, Joseph Nurkic, when he was with the Phoenix Suns. I know that was a matchup that Jaren kind of dominated a couple times that season just because of his quickness and his ability to just slide by him and just get to his spot. So, as long as he's not a number 1 option, I think it'll be fine. And, again, if he's a number 3 option, that's even better.
Damichael Cole is with us, covers the Grizzlies for the Memphis Commercial Appeal. And, Damichael, I've got to give you a compliment for a man who's obviously got to be glued to his phone, watching for text messages about Ja Morant, and doing a radio interview in Salt Lake at the very same time. You are killing it. So the question we want to know is Ja going to move?
Look, at this moment, the only thing I could say is it's looking more and more unlikely, but keep an eye on this situation with Giannis. That's kind of what I've been told. This Giannis situation, now that he's staying in Milwaukee. Milwaukee was one of the teams very early on when, it was reported that the Grizzlies were listening to offers on Ja. Milwaukee was one of the teams that reached out very early on in the process. So that is a team that potentially could circle back here. But the Grizzlies have been very firm. Like, one thing about the Grizzlies is they will not trade if they don't think it's even. They don't care about the optics of what things look like. If they don't feel like they're getting the value that they want, they'll say, fine, we won't do it. And, so far that seems to be the case here, where it clearly would be a weird situation if Ja's back, given, the trades that just were made. Man, they're going to play hardball. But I think Milwaukee is a team to watch in this closing stretch here.
The Jazz are going to be keeping an eye on the Memphis Grizzlies to close the season because they are the next closest team, I believe, in the West, or right there when it comes to the tanking, the lottery standings. And now, obviously, Memphis is going to be trying to get that pick as high as possible. That said, they keep winning these weird games. They won last night. How is Memphis going to approach this? Is it going to be an all-out tank? Are they going to be resting players to make sure they lose as much as possible? Or are they just going to let this play out?
I think it'll start soft. It'll be a little soft tank at first, and then they'll embrace it. As the season goes on here. They got some key players out right now like Zach Edey, Ja Morant. If he stays past the deadline, they'll probably tell those guys, just get your rest. And I think they'll position themselves well to get somewhere in the range of getting a top 8 pick.
What can you tell us about John Konchar and Vince Williams?
Two defensive-minded guys, but in different ways. They're both actually really good rebounders. I think what comes to mind with John Konchar is instincts, right? I often compare him to a free safety in football when watching him play basketball, because you'll see plays like when the opposing team is inbounding the ball and a guy, like he comes over there and he just can anticipate where the ball is going and he'll knock it away or something like that. He's really good at those little instinctual things. John Contra is offensively, he's not going to give you a lot. You know, he's going to offensive rebound. He's going to knock down an occasional shot, but he's not going to give you a lot offensively. Vince Williams, he kind of grew into a playmaker a little bit more this season with the Grizzlies having all the injuries at point guard, but his shooting, you know, kind of plummeted, you know, as a result of that. He's coming into the league, he's known as kind of more of like a 3-and-D guy. He's had some foot injuries over the last couple seasons where he still, you know, to this day hasn't really been 100%. So if you get 100% Vince Williams, it's a steal because he at his best, if you go back a couple years ago, he was guarding Kevin Durant, he was guarding Luka Doncic, and all those guys were giving him praise. But as he's kind of navigated through these foot injuries the last couple seasons, he's kind of lost a little bit of a step, and it's been tough on him.
Damichael, we know it's a crazy day for you, so we can't thank you enough for carving out a few for us. We really appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
All right, take care, guys.
Thanks, Damichael. Damichael Cole covers the Grizzlies for the Memphis Commercial Appeal.
We talked about this bench unit for the Jazz being basically a total mystery, you know. Coming back next year, you do still have Isaiah Collier under contract and Cody Williams and Bryce Sensabaugh and Kyle Filipowski and Svi Mikhailuk, even though his deal is non-guaranteed. Now you've got Vince Williams, who's on a non-guaranteed deal, and John Konchar. I think the Jazz are going to be looking for experience. I think they're going to be looking for defensive players. And so I think Vince Williams probably has a pretty realistic chance to stick around. I mean, that's a guy that's already on a small contract, and if he can offer, you know, something different that the rest of these players can't, he can be really valuable. The same could be said for Konchar, who's owed $6 million next season. So be curious who actually is still on the roster. I don't think anyone with an expiring deal should be really expected to be around. And that might include Yusuf Nurkic, unless you can bring him back for a steal. But the Jazz aren't going to want to go into next year with just only a bunch of young guys coming off the bench because they want to make the playoffs, and you can't lose a run in the playoffs because your second unit players aren't ready. They don't matter enough, truthfully, to hold you up like that.
Stay tuned. We'll wrap up the show. Coming up next, Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Who's got it better than us?
Your home for the best sports coverage in Utah. You're listening to Jake Scott and Ben Anderson on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Two amigos on the airwaves, talking sports. They got him made Jake's and also loves his tie-dye. Ben's got style with his scarves. Oh my.
Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Hey, Scotty G's going to be live tomorrow with the good folks at Bar WB from noon to 3 at the Grill, 2264 South Main Street in Nephi. Ben, you ready for this quote from Donovan Mitchell?
Oh, I love it.
Talking about now the Cavs have traded for James Harden. He said, quote, "Our ceiling is definitely higher when you have a guy like James Harden. He brings scoring, playmaking, and experience from playoff games and the NBA Finals. Our goal is to try to get it done now," unquote. Has James Harden been to the NBA Finals?
He has not.
So that's that. And also,
he did with the
Thunder, right?
He has.
Oh,
yes.
yeah, you're right.
As the
when he was
sixth
third
man.
fiddle.
Yeah.
But then why do you have to drag Darius Garland like that? This is kind of always a thing with Donovan Mitchell. A little bit backhanded, where he's insulting the guy on the way out the door by complimenting
There was a
new guy.
report out of Cleveland, a guy who covers the Cavaliers, and I couldn't see who. I can't find it now, but he said they got along well off the floor, like they got along fine, but they did not like playing together. Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell, which makes sense. Darius Garland asked for a trade this summer after Donovan got there.
Oh, I'm sure he hated it. Yeah.
They're the same player.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not the same player, but they're the same position. You know, it's 2 point guards that want to score and kind of want to have the ball in their hands. And problem for Donovan is that James Harden is just that on steroids.
Yeah.
And he's bigger, and he is a better player than Darius Garland today. He's not going to be 2 years from now. He's a better player today, but it doesn't make Donovan a better player.
No, this is stuffing the biggest tabby cat you could find right through the hole in the wall.
Right in the wall.
We've got to fix the problem that we have 2 ball-dominant guards. I know. What if we get an even more ball-dominant guard? That'll do it.
Yeah. No, it's
ridiculous.
There have been some not great trades that have gone down.
The ceiling is not higher, though. Not just going to disagree with Donovan Mitchell.
No, it's in a different place.
Maybe.
But it's not higher. It's just the ceiling looks different.
I think they're the exact same team except a little fatter.
Yeah, a little. Well, and here's the
A lot
problem.
more glitter.
A lot more glitter.
More glitter, some late nights,
Yeah.
slower plane flights leaving town.
I mean, the red light district in Cleveland had a good trade deadline.
Correct.
I did see a sign welcoming him.
Yeah, I'm
Welcome,
sure.
James.
He's going to go put some gals through college.
The problem for the Cavaliers now is that they're going to have to pay James Harden this offseason. You know, he wants to go places where he gets paid. It's always been about the money for James, which is fine. I think he's a professional athlete. That's what he wants to do. They're going to now have to invest in him long term. And I know they were invested in Darius Garland long term and signed him to a big deal, but you know they're not getting any relief here. So the other issue is James is really unique. He's a very unique player. You know, it takes a while to adjust to playing with him, and that's always been the case every stop he's been at. And you get better the longer he's there, I think. But by the time that happens, he decides he wants out. The problem is you only have 29 games now to figure this out. Like, you are doing all of this to appease Donovan Mitchell. The problem is, we've talked about this a lot. Jazz made a huge mistake giving Donovan the keys to the city. It was a big mistake. You made Donovan feel like the most important player, and then he took advantage of that.
He did.
And that doesn't mean he's a bad person, because I don't think Donovan Mitchell's a bad person at all. He seems very delightful. I enjoyed my time around him. But he certainly knows how to look out for Donovan. Like, he's not going to bend over backwards to make your life easier as the team owner. He's not going to take less money to make anyone else around him better. So you've put Donovan in this place of power. And now this summer, if he feels like I'm in this place of power and you're diminishing it or taking the ball out of my hands with James Harden, I'm not going to be happy. So I'm going to tell you what to do next. And the only option what to do next is to trade me. I mean, that's I truly believe that's coming this summer for the Cavaliers. And maybe they will balk and they won't trade him. But it's not going to be a happier Donovan Mitchell because he has James Harden on his roster.
Well, they're not going to win anyway.
No.
Stay tuned. Scotty G. Coming up next, we'll talk to you tomorrow.
Thanks, Christian.
On Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.